Coming up, we're going to look at the soft USC football program that demolished and ran over Dave Portnoy and the Michigan Wolverines this past weekend. We're also going to look ahead into the Trojans' next big matchup against the Fighting Irish, a game between two elite top 25 football programs. And the women's college basketball preseason AP Top 25 poll has been released. We're going to analyze that entire list. We're going to look into where the Trojans find themselves locking in, and we're going to discuss that one. All that and more coming up next on Sports Scene.
Welcome back to Sports Scene. I'm your host, Nia Satterfield-Brown.
And I'm Adam Ukazoglu. It's Notre Dame week. This Saturday, the 96th game between the two bitter rivals will kick off in South Bend. Today is the 20th anniversary of the infamous Bush push that earned the Trojans a spot in the national championship. From that historic play to Heisman moments for their top players, most notably Caleb Williams, this rivalry dating back to 1926 has never been a dull one. This season's matchup sets up to be an all-timer with both teams in must-win situations. While the Trojans and the Fighting Irish are tied in national championships and back-to-back in Heisman winners, Notre Dame has the edge in the all-time series, 52-37. Even with their lengthy history, the series is in question. With no current contract signed past this weekend's game, TV rights and scheduling issues are putting an almost 100-year rivalry in jeopardy. When Notre Dame head coach Marcus Freeman was asked his take on the situation, he said, "It's pretty black and white for me. I want them to play every single year. I want to play at USC every year because it's great for college football." For the first time in my life, I can say I agree with the Notre Dame coach. We all want to see USC and Notre Dame face off year in and year out, as it is one of the most prestigious matchups in all of college football.
Now, are California players soft, or more specifically, is USC soft? A well-known Wolverine seems to think so. Let's take a look.
I think they're West Coast soft football. Lincoln Riley is a soft coach. He's a soft program. I'll always take the Midwest power football. So three respect for USC.
Hearing that now is funny because USC dominated Michigan 31-13 at the Coliseum with the makeshift O-line and a walk-on running back. The Trojans outplayed the favored Wolverines the entire game. Adam, I'll start with you. What do you think about Dave's comments?
I mean, I'll be frank, Dave is a clown. I mean, he said he likes Midwest power football. USC showed him what Midwest power football was this last weekend. You mentioned they ran all over the Wolverines. King Miller, the third-string running back, went for 150 yards. Brian Jackson came out of the locker room and showed him what Midwest power football was. I mean, wow, Dave Portnoy's got to be eating his words now.
Nolan, what does USC need to do to prove themselves against tougher competition moving forward?
I mean, I don't know how much tougher the competition does get. Michigan is still a good squad. I think the toughest teams that you play other than Oregon is probably Notre Dame. And to me, Notre Dame's a very similar squad as Michigan. They're great on the run game. They have a pretty solid defense. But like we just said, USC ran all over that defense. It doesn't matter if your first and second string are out. King Miller is going to do it over, in total, 200 rushing yards for the entire USC squad. King Miller over 150 on over 6.5 yards a carry. Just keep doing that, and Mailato's going to do his thing.
Personally, I don't think USC is soft, and they definitely showed otherwise on Saturday.
USC proved itself to be anything but soft, but the same goes for Notre Dame. Adam, Nia, and I crafted 3 keys to the game. If the Trojans want to upset the Irish, first, they have to be able to run the ball. They've also got to start quick, and lastly, they've got to treat Notre Dame exactly how they did Michigan. 3 huge keys for USC ahead of Saturday's game. What are you guys looking to most? Nia, I'll start with you.
I'm looking forward to how they'll fare in Notre Dame weather. You know, it's going to be a really interesting time to see if they can handle the cold as well as just running the ball. You know, King Miller's a new player. He's a walk-on, so definitely seeing how he'll fare in the Notre Dame Stadium.
And Adam, what about yourself?
Yeah, that's a great point. USC has been notorious for not being able to play very well in the rain, but I think the biggest key to this game is to get out and get out quickly. You know, USC has to get this hostile Notre Dame crowd out of the game. One thing that was interesting that I noticed during the Michigan game, USC decided they ended up getting the ball first, and they got the touchdown on the first drive, and they got out, got the crowd on their side. It'll be interesting to see if they win the coin toss, maybe take the ball and get out.
Yeah, I mean, it was an awesome game, and I think you just got to treat Notre Dame exactly how you did Michigan. I alluded to it earlier, but look, I don't think CJ Carr is all that. I don't think he's much better than Underwood. Their running game may be a little less focused. They got a little more passing attempts going, but in general, it's a run-first team. They're a good offense. You treat them exactly how you did Michigan. You run all over that squad. You don't let them run because you can rely on them trying to throw the ball. You're not going to. I know the USC secondary isn't anything that great, but again, neither is CJ Carr. So just play them exactly how you played Michigan. There's no doubt that all three of these are going to be critical to beat Notre Dame. They're a good squad nonetheless. But speaking of competition, let's meet the number 13 opponent.
Let's talk about our players to watch on this Fighting Irish squad. My player to watch is Jeremiah Love, the junior running back from Notre Dame. Watching him is like watching a freight train. He never stops moving. Let's take a look at him here. He's scarily consistent and has set the school record for most consecutive games with a rushing touchdown. His elite acceleration and breakaway speed will be a tough matchup for the USC defense.
I'm going to go with the second man in this backfield, Jajarian Price. He's even more efficient this year than Love, averaging over 6.5 yards a carry on 63 attempts this year. His explosiveness has taken him to the end zone 7 times through 6 games this year. He's turning heads as he begins making this backfield a bit more of a timeshare.
Yeah, my player to watch is senior tight end Eli Raritan. The standout pass catcher is on a tear this season, coming off of a 109-yard blow-up against NC State last week. In addition, he had a huge game in their close loss to Miami, putting up 97 yards. However, he's yet to find the end zone this season, so be on the lookout for the big tight end in the red zone. Notre Dame certainly doesn't have a shortage of talent, and the Trojans' defense has a tall task on their hands to stop them. Now, we'll toss it to Liam for this week's segment of X's and O's.
In the offseason, Lincoln Riley murmured of third-string running back King Miller making a difference, and his true potential arrived on Saturday. X's and O's is back. I'm Liam Irvin. Let's break things down. A third and long situation for the Trojans. They're practically conceding a punt here against Michigan, but King Miller has other ideas. This is what you saw a lot in this game. Right here, number 77, Alani Noah, pulling from that right guard position and picking up a big block. Michigan only rushing 4. That's good for the run. And King Miller, you'll see right here, he explodes through the spot and the gap in the offense that he sees, and bang, right here, you'll see his athleticism. He plants his foot in the ground, turns upfield, and he's quick to make a move. He's decisive. This is what makes him special. He's got one man to beat in the secondary. Now he's to the safety, and if it wasn't for a shoestring tackle, might have been to the house. Here's another play. Same drive. What do you do when someone's rushing well? You reward him. Lincoln Riley doesn't go away from it. Same set for King Miller. Alani Noah is going to pull again, and the specialness with this play is Alani Noah, all he has to do is really tap this defensive tackle and work him outside past the line of scrimmage as far as he can. You'll see right here, Mayava will take the snap. He hands it to Miller, and right here, Noah doing a good job. He just pushes the defensive lineman away a little bit. And look at Lake McCree right here on the ground, fighting for a block, fighting everything he can. Nowhere near 100% in this game, and he gave his full effort. It gives Miller just enough ability to get outside and score his first touchdown of the game. It's no doubt that the King has claimed his throne. He swept Big Ten accolades for Freshman of the Week, Walk-On of the Week, 8.8 yards per carry in this game. But there's no doubt that there's a beat-up running back room. Eli Sanders and Wayman Jordan, now injured, will send it over to Nolan to explain USC's running back department injuries.
We talked quite a bit about Notre Dame's running back room, but USC also should be peppered with a boatload of talent too. Let's take a look at what went wrong here. In the first quarter against Michigan, backup running back Eli Sanders went down with a season-ending knee injury, but Waymo is still up and running, right? Well, wrong. He went down later that game with an ankle injury that will keep him off the field for about a month. Enter King Miller and Brian Jackson, the new 1-2 punch. Miller was a huge part in securing the Trojan victory, racking up over 150 rushing yards and a tutty on 18 carries. Jackson also looks promising, though, with 35 yards and a score of his own on just 5 attempts. Until Wayman Jordan returns, all eyes will be on the King to carry the Trojans to victory against some tough Big Ten competition. Coming up, the women's college basketball AP poll is out. Find out what the press makes of the USC Trojans without Juju Watkins. And the men's and women's swim and dive teams took down some tough competition this week. We'll recap the matches for you.
Welcome back to Sports Scene. The women's basketball preseason AP Top 25 poll was released, and the women of Troy find themselves slotted in at number 18. The Big Ten has 4 other teams inside the top 25, with UCLA at number 3, Maryland at 10, Michigan at 13, and Michigan State at 23. Nia, do you think the Trojans are over, under, or fairly rated?
I think they're underrated. Now, I do understand the ranking just because they lack the proven depth. They do have some high impact transfers like Kara Dunn and London Jones coming in. However, I think they deserve to be ranked higher because Lindsay Gottlieb has a consistently good roster. She's known for developing players. So I think they should be ranked higher. I think they're going to definitely prove that when the season does start.
Yeah, and can you agree, if they had Juju Watkins, they could be possibly first in the nation.
Exactly, and I get that Juju is a huge loss for this team. However, I think the Trojans will definitely surprise some people, and they're going to make an impact and remember this ranking because it's kind of disrespectful a little bit.
Yeah, it's fuel.
Yeah.
Nolan, who do you think the most important player or players will be for the USC Women of Troy this upcoming season?
Well, you got to go back to March. When Juju went out and we knew that USC wouldn't have her for that tournament, instantly title contentions were basically no longer. USC couldn't compete at that level. And you need someone to fill her shoes. The only player that can do that is Jazzy Davidson. Same situation coming out of high school, #1 recruit. A really similar play style, and she can shoot. She can kind of do everything. So if you actually want to compete, you need Jazzy Davidson to basically look like Juju Watkins when she did as a freshman. I also think London Jones will provide some great shooting, and that's more depth. But at the end of the day, if you want to go for that title, you need your #1 star, and that's Jazzy Davidson.
Yeah, that's a great point, Nolan. Jazzy, London, and the rest of the stars will be on display when the Trojans open up their season on November 4th against New Mexico State here at Galen Center. Now we'll throw it to Kyle, who's live with us to talk about USC Swim and Dive.
That's right. Thanks, Adam. As you guys can see, I am here at the Aquatic Center where USC men's and women's swim and dive made some waves this past weekend. Now, the people in the pool right now aren't the men's and women's team, but they just came today to get some laps in the pool. But the USC men's and women's teams were cutting through water like a knife through butter, with junior Krzysztof Himilewski setting a new record in the 200-yard butterfly event. The record was held since 2017, and I guess when records are set, they're meant to be broken. The USC men's team was making a splash against number 23 Texas A&M in multiple events, beating them with a score of 257-95. But the Trojans ultimately fell to number 2 Indiana after being outscored 197-155. The USC women's team showed up and showed out against number 23 UCLA, defeating the Bruins with a score of 245-107 and outscoring number 25 Texas A&M with a score of 245-106. The women of Troy also fell to number 9 Indiana as well after being outscored 162-90. The Trojans will continue fall competition this Friday, October 17th, and men's and women's team will be traveling to Westmont, Illinois for the World Aquatics World Cup. So make sure you tune in. That's all I have for you here. Let's send it back to Liam in the studio for more updates on the top plays of the week for the Trojans.
Thank you, Kyle. Top plays coming to you live. A lot to talk about in USC sports, but don't fret. We've got you covered. Let's get into things. Number 3, you knew it was coming eventually. Right before the half on Saturday, Mayava takes a shot. Go up and get it, big fella. A huge score before the half to put USC ahead, and a spectacular catch from Lemon. Let's go to number 2 in the pool. Kyle alluded to it. Krzysztof Himilewski, a 200-yard fly pool record for USC against Texas A&M. 1 minute 41 seconds. Is that good? It's not, Dad. Have a day. And number 1 from the Galen Center, London Weejay led the team with 12 kills. This for game, tries to finesse it, doesn't go. Reloads, a spike, doesn't go again, but third time is the charge. Weejay loads up and finds a way through the defense for match point. From the field to the pool to the hard top, those are this week's top plays coming at you hot from this week in Trojan athletics. So we talked about top plays, but what about a top player off the field? Nia has more.
We have another episode of Trojan Off the Ball where I interviewed USC linebacker Anthony Beavers, whose philanthropic efforts have transformed his LA community. Let's take a look.
I think for me, it's super important to give back to my city. I think it's a city that has, a lot of potential, but I think a lot of us in the city are just lost. There's so many different things and distractions that go on in LA, in the inner city specifically. So I think, more role models are needed, more people, to follow are needed because there's so many bad things to follow in our city.
You have an after-school program called LA's Best, and you provide meals and just mentorship opportunities. Tell me more about how you got into that.
Well, out the LAUSD, Los Angeles Unified School District, I think it's over 100-something schools, but that after-school program just provides a free meal, tutoring, and then just social time, whether that's recess, playing kickball, basketball, different things of that nature. But it's a free program that just gives people from less fortunate places a free meal after school, and then that tutoring time that can be very helpful.
Now, you told me in our prior conversations that your mantra is each one teach one.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean for you?
I think it's super important to be able to pass on knowledge to someone, because everybody can learn, no matter how young or how old you are. I think everybody is constantly learning from different people. So I think if each person teaches somebody something new every day, I think we can all take a new step in the right direction.
How did your experiences growing up in South Central LA kind of trigger your philanthropic spirit?
I just think a lot of my friends just needed that positive role model, that that big brother, that support system. I think it's a lot of talent that not goes wasted, but it's just so many different things that seem more intriguing as you're young than when you're older. So being able, just to shine light on, some communities that need light, I think is super powerful, and something I want to keep doing. Something that me and my friends, definitely want to keep going in the future.
His commitment to his local community is admirable, and he definitely inspired me a bit. Now let's hear from Nolan about what to look forward to in USC athletics this week.
Yeah, thanks, Nia. It's time to get ourselves back on the ball with our 5-day forecast. So on Thursday first, we've got women's soccer as they look to snap a 2-match losing streak as they host Nebraska. Then as we move towards Friday, the women's volleyball squad travels to Iowa City to take on the Hawkeyes and hopefully get one back into the win column. But then we approach here Saturday, the big game that we've all been talking about in South Bend, number 20 USC at the 13th ranked Notre Dame squad. The 2-score underdog in USC is going to look to force a big upset here. Following that one, though, we have women's golf as they, on Sunday, head over north to take on Stanford. And finally, stretching through this weekend and eventually ending next week early, we've got the men's and women's tennis squads. They'll be competing in the ITA Southwest Regional Championships. It's a good week to be a sports fan here at USC. Good luck to all of you Trojan athletes. But now it's time for everyone's favorite segment of their favorite show. Get ready for a bloodbath with Trojan of the Week.
Well, it's time for the most heated part of the broadcast, but also my favorite segment. Time for Trojan of the Week. Alongside my partner, Casey Kasliner, I'm Terrence Holton, and today I'm talking about a king. And it's not LeBron. Of course, I'm referring to USC football's King Miller. Miller ran for 158 yards and 1 touchdown, including this hypnotic 49-yard scamper on 3rd and 25 to give the Trojans a spark in the third quarter. A few plays later, he punched it in the end zone, putting USC up 2 scores.
Now in chess, bishops move diagonally and prey on weaker opponents on the other side of the board. Sounds eerily similar to USC's very own bishop, safety Bishop Fitzgerald, who forced a Michigan checkmate after grabbing 2 interceptions and notching a sack on his opening move. Here's Bishop chasing down Underwood on the safety blitz in zealous pursuit of the true freshman gunslinger. Fitzgerald also made waves in the coverage area, picking off both Michigan's quarterbacks. His 5 interceptions lead USC and are tied for the most in the FBS.
All right, well, Casey, how about you go first for this one, because I just think you have the completely wrong pick. So I want you to go first.
Okay, well, USC's defense this year has been a little bit loosey-goosey, and they win by 18 points, holding Michigan to only 13 total points. An offense that's been explosive this year.
Bishop Fitzgerald is a major stretch. Let's just be honest about that.
Come on. What are you talking about? Bryce Underwood's been one of the top young QBs. They've gotten his face, and a big reason for that, Bishop Fitzgerald sacking him and picking him off. Come on.
I think one thing that you're kind of leaving out, it was half a sack. It was also credited to the defensive lineman, so I want to point that out.
Well, he got to him first. He got to him first.
He got to a little sass on that. He got to him at the same time as that defensive lineman. Also, I want to talk about those interceptions. Those were fine interceptions. The second one, I could have caught that. It went right to his chest.
No,
there was no receiver within 10 yards. It would have went right to his chest. Now, the video cut off right before it went to him. It went right to his chest. But let's talk about the king. Let's talk about King Miller. 158 yards, a touchdown. First walk-on touchdown in a big game, 1994 for USC. He was the Big Ten Freshman of the Week. Fantastic. That 3rd and 25, I would say play of the game. No matter what you say. No, let me finish.
Okay.
Play of the game, because USC, they could have punted back to Michigan, given them a chance. Instead, King Miller, 3rd and 25, takes it for 49 yards, reignites the offense a couple plays later in the end zone.
I will say, Coliseum was going berserk. It was a good scene with King Miller kind of coming out of nowhere.
It was great.
USC's offensive line created those holes for him. You know, you're talking about you could have gotten an interception. I could have walked through those holes and got to the end zone myself.
Well, that's definitely not true.
I mean,
because we're talking about King Miller's shiftiness, how he was able to move throughout the pocket and get past
you know who
those
was able
offensive
to
line.
get past the offensive line of Michigan? Bishop Fitzgerald getting half a sack and then 2 picks.
That one time, Casey, he was just fine. King Miller was doing it all night. He was thrust into a situation against a good defense, one of the top run defenses in the country, made the best of it.
But USC's secondary, the point I'm trying to make, has not been good this year. Bishop Fitzgerald has 5 picks, gets 2 of them this week. He has been the constant.
Those throws are right to him, and I want to point out that first one, there was very much a missed pass interference on the receiver.
Oh,
he
so we're going to play with hypotheticals
Of course
now?
I'm going to play with hypotheticals.
Oh, come on.
I also want to point out how King Miller, by USC fans on the USC football Instagram account, was voted Trojan of the game. How do you counter that?
Because we're not the
new.
fans here. We are taking our own sides. We're not taking out.
Do you want to know who I voted for? I voted for King Miller.
Oh, I bet you did, because that would make sense. I voted for Bishop Fitzgerald though. So
it just wasn't the right pick.
Come on, like he had the
Casey,
defensive
in
showing.
Both social and civil levels, a king is higher than a bishop, and that showed this week.
I mean, you make a good point there. Football was the name of the game this week, but you can let us know who took home the crown. But
big board there.
Time to go for a spin. We'll talk about whatever the arrow lands on. Terrence, you know what to do.
Let's hope I don't knock this over. Not a great spin, but that's all right. What does that say, Casey?
Men's basketball newcomers. Who are we
okay.
looking forward to on the Trojans? Let's have you go first this time.
I'm going to go Rodney Rice, the Maryland transfer. Started his career off at Virginia Tech. He's been nothing but a solid shooting guard his entire career. I'm really excited to see what he can do with USC. I think he's going to take over that kind of point guard position, because I don't really think there's much of a true point guard. Maybe Jordan Marsh, you've hyped him up a lot. Rice is a phenomenal shooter. He helped Maryland in the Crab 5 in what they had last year, take them to the Sweet 16. I'm really excited about what he's going to do.
Yeah, I like the pick. I'm going to go with Chad Baker-Mazara. You talk about not really having a true guard, but he's a guy that you can put in the guard position because of his versatility, see what he does. He's a big guy. He's a little bit on the older side too, but
25 is the new 19.
Yeah, right? And so, he's able to bring that tournament experience. Auburn was a great team last year. We know that he left there, and he's really poised to have a great year with USC and try to bring him to the national championship.
Yeah, I mean, with a team with so many newcomers, there's so much to be excited about, but I do agree with those are the top 2.
Well, that's it for the wheel this week. Spin with us again another time. But coming up, the Dodgers are 2 wins away from another World Series appearance.
And USC Athletics has a new brand. Find out more later.
Welcome back to Sports Scene. Here to talk about this year's ongoing MLB season, Zane will give us the rundown.
The MLB playoffs are heating up as we're down to the final 4 teams, all fighting for a shot to make the World Series. In the NLCS, the Seattle Mariners have taken a 2-0 lead over the Toronto Blue Jays, stealing 2 games on the road. Jorge Polanco has shined on the big stage, hitting a go-ahead 3-run home run in Game 2, while the Mariners' bullpen has been lights out, tossing 9 scoreless innings through the first 2 games. In the NLCS, the Dodgers have a 2-0 lead thanks to phenomenal pitching from Blake Snell and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Snell faced the minimum 24 batters in 8 innings, and Yamamoto threw a complete game, the first in Dodger playoff history since 2004. Despite a wild double play that went against the Dodgers in Game 1, the offense has stayed locked in with clutch hits throughout the series. The Blue Jays and the Brewers both have their backs against the wall after losing both games 1 and 2. If the Blue Jays want a chance, they need Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to step up. He has 0 hits so far in the ALCS. If the Brewers want a chance, they need their stellar bullpen to pitch to its potential. With all the momentum on their side, I believe the Mariners and Dodgers will be able to close out their series in 5. Both teams have better pitching and more consistent bats. The excitement is through the roof in Seattle and Los Angeles. Don't be surprised if both squads are celebrating a trip to the World Series very soon. Now let's toss it over to Nia, who has something to say about USC's new Win the Era campaign. What do you got, Nia?
USC announced its new Win the Era campaign, where they plan to maximize investment in student athletes and ensure that SC forever remains the place to be. The campaign prioritizes 4 key areas: funding new scholarships, investing in excellence, activating NIL, and finally completing the Athletics West campaign. Adam, how do you think that USC can win the era?
Yeah, I think it's all going to start with the facilities, and they're doing a great job. Just this season, we've already seen the opening of Rawlinson Stadium, a beautiful brand new stadium for women's soccer and women's lacrosse. They're investing in women's sports. It has been amazing. Second, Dado Field is reopening here on campus. You know, they've been playing away from home for their home games. They finally invested. Dado Field's opening, and hopefully we're going to see one of those big crowds for USC baseball this upcoming spring. And finally, as you mentioned, the Athletics West program. That new facility is absolutely beautiful. It'll be great to see how the Trojans can take advantage of that. Certainly going to get some more recruits.
Nolan, what do you believe is the key to winning the era?
I mean, I think it's NIL. It benefits everyone. It benefits the team as a whole. It benefits the players. It makes the product better, which benefits all of us, all of the USC students. It's simple. You get more successful with NIL. Your players are more well-equipped for wherever they go, whether they go to the big league or whether they end up using their degree to work in a more corporate job. NIL is helping them, and additionally, if you have stronger NIL connections, if your NIL deals are better, you start to see what we've really began to see the last couple of years with USC, getting some really good recruiting classes. We want to talk about this most recent one. That's a product of NIL. You keep doing that, you're going to get the best players, and they're going to get to enjoy their college experience the most.
With 138 national championships and more Olympic medals than any other university, SC is aiming to endow 100 new scholarships for the 2028 Olympic and Paralympic Games in Los Angeles. That's a wrap on this week's show. I'm Nia Satterfield Brown.
And I'm Adam Ukazoglu. We'll see you next time here on Sports Scene.